Good morning. See what love the Father has given us. That's from the verse we just heard read from 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. See what love the Father has given us. Today is All Saints' Day. And one of the best ways to see that love is to see that great love reflected in the lives of saints. The Book of Common Prayer and the Episcopal Church calendar commemorates a wide variety of saints from different centuries of church history. St. Paul, his day is June 29th. Priscilla and Aquila are also on our church calendar. That's the wife and husband team that worked with St. Paul that we read about in the New Testament. Their day is July 8th. Martin Luther's on our calendar, February 18th. Martin Luther King Jr. is also on the calendar, April 4th. C.S. Lewis, the author of the Narnia stories and other stories, and also wrote many theological books, is on our calendar. Later this month, November 22nd. Dorothy Sayers is also on our calendar. She was good friends with C.S. Lewis and wrote mystery novels. Lord Peter Wimsey, I might be saying that wrong, is that right? Yeah, which I really enjoy her novels. She also wrote theological books. She's also famous as a translator. For example, her translation of Dante's Divine Comedy, I haven't read it, but I've heard that it's one of the best translations into English that is out there. So Dorothy Sayers, her day is December 17th. So it's very cool that our church calendar has this diverse and wide variety of saints from throughout the centuries of church history. You're probably, like me, also thinking of saints in your life, people who showed God's love in special ways, people who taught you or mentored you, or people who loved you and who you love. For me, and I'm sure for some of you, or many of you, some of those saints are here at St. Paul's, but I won't name names at this point. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called the children of God, and that is what we are. We commemorate saints because their lives reflect God's love in special and remarkable ways. Yet they are not superheroes. They're not from an alien planet like Superman. They were not bitten by a radioactive spider like Spider-Man. They have or had their struggles and their fears just as we do. The saints are children of God just as we are children of God. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. In their book, Walk in Love, Episcopal Beliefs and Practices, Scott Gunn and Melody Wilson Shobe talk about the saints. This book came out about 5 years ago, and when I saw that title, Walk in Love, and then the subtitle, Episcopal Beliefs and Practices, I knew I had to get it, and I was glad I did. It's a good book. Here's what they say about saints. Quote, "The amazing things saints do and have done are because of God's life working through them, God's life living in them. Their deeds and words point clearly to Jesus. They teach us how to live and sometimes how to die, not because they didn't suffer or have fears and doubts, but because they trusted in the one who loves them always. In fact, it's because we can see their humanity that we also see that we can walk in their footsteps, trusting that God is also working through us. End quote. So a couple of things I hear from this quote from Scott Gunn and Melody Wilson Shobe. One thing I hear is we are not alone in this world. We're surrounded by the love of God, and we see that love reflected in the lives of saints. And another thing I hear from them, our faith makes a difference. We see the difference that faith makes or made in the lives of saints, and it reminds us that our faith is also making a difference in the world. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God. And then our reading today from 1 John goes on to verse 2. Verse 2 says, "Beloved, we are God's children now. What we will be has not yet been revealed." N.T. Wright, in his book, Surprised by Hope, N.T. Wright is a bishop in the Church of England. He says that verse and verses like it in the New Testament, talking about God's future, a future that will one day be revealed to us. He says, quote, "Salvation isn't just something to wait for in the long distance future. We can enjoy it here and now, genuinely anticipating in the present what is to come in the future." N.T. Wright goes on to say that all the acts of love we do today will have lasting significance into God's future. Here's another quote from his book, Surprised by Hope. Quote, "What you do in the present by painting, preaching, singing, sewing, praying, teaching, building hospitals, digging wells, campaigning for justice, writing poems, caring for the needy, loving your neighbor as yourself, all these acts will last into God's future." End quote. Our acts of love will have significance that lasts into God's future, a future that will one day be revealed to us. See what love God has given us. One most excellent way to see that great love is to see it reflected in the lives of saints. Their lives remind us we are not alone. They remind us our faith does make a difference. Further, the acts of love we do today will last into God's future. Things like praying, attending worship, visiting and bringing hope to people in prisons, including in Lovelock, comforting someone who is grieving. All these acts of love will last into God's future, a future that will one day be revealed to us. So I'll finish by repeating one more time those two wonderful and hopeful verses from 1 John chapter 3. See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet been revealed. Amen.